Hey, James, what are you doing in my office?
Sorry, man, I'm out of here.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at Kalmbach Publishing. We're going to show you a behind-the-scenes look of both the Model Railroader magazine side and the Model Railroader Video Plus side of the house here at Kalmbach. I've got Dana Kawala here with us, and we're going to cover lots of things here in Kalmbach, so I hope you'll take a behind-the-scenes look with us and check out this video in all sorts of different areas here at Kalmbach Publishing. So let's get started with the tour, Dana.
Welcome to Wisconsin, James. Let's go take a look around.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. All right, James, the first thing we're going to look at here are some artifacts from our founder, Al Kalmbach. Now, throughout his life, he had two passions. They were trains and they were printing. And right here we have one of his early hand presses. Now, he never printed Model Railroader on this press. He would do things like these little neighborhood one-sheet newspapers. These were also some of his models and things that he built way before model railroading was really sort of an organized hobby. And then, at the height of the Great Depression, 1934, he put his two loves together and he came up with Model Railroader magazine.
So we're here in the lobby of Kalmbach, and one of the things that really stands out to me is this giant wheel they have, and it almost looks like a real wheel, and this is from a 464 Hudson steam locomotive, number 6414. And when you walk through those front doors here at Kalmbach, this thing sticks out. It's got a nice three-dimensional depth to it. As Dana's showing an example here, we've got us actually in the room here a little bit.
And this is full size too, it's 1-to-1.
Yep, 1-to-1 ratio wheel, so pretty impressive stuff. A nice, very cool impression to set on visitors here at Kalmbach when they walk through those front doors. So Dana, we're standing outside of the studio, is that correct?
Well, actually, James, we're up here in the second floor. This is where all the magic happens. This is where the editorial offices are. This is where, right here, we have a photo studio. And right here, this is our version of Santa's workshop. This is the MR workshop. And you can see this is where we build project layouts, do reviews, and all sorts of cool stuff.
Cool. Well, let's take a look inside and see what they've got here in the Santa's workshop. Looks like we got some layouts here, Dana. What's going on here in the studio?
Well, this one right here, actually, David should talk about. This is one of the latest projects of MR Video Plus. This is a very cool switching layout.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Popp.
This is the Winston-Salem southbound. This has been our project railroad on MR Video Plus for the last year. And it's based on a real prototype railroad that up until about 14 months ago I knew absolutely nothing about. Winston-Salem southbound was a little bridge line that was built jointly by the Norfolk and Western and the Atlantic coastline to be able to run coal from the Norfolk and Western's coal fields down through the state of North Carolina to connect with the ACL and then get it out to ports. And so the railroad, amazingly enough, while we're modeling it here as it's seen in the 1950s, the railroad still exists today, and it's currently jointly owned by NS and CSX.
This one is the Red Oak. This was our project layout from a year or two ago. This model is a Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy branch, 1960s. So it's a fun little layout and really gives you an idea of what you can do with N scale in a relatively small space.
Yep. Yeah, this could fit easily in any back corner somewhere in your home.
It's got a nice little staging space in the back too.
Yeah.
It was designed so you can run little mini operating sessions on it and keep a couple of people busy. It has its own little branch that splits off and runs through it.
Got the stockyards there.
Yeah, those are cool. Actually, Steve Oddie built those. He built those for an article, and then we incorporated them into the layout after he had done it.
Yeah, he basically, the track plan I think was drawn around it, basically.
Yeah, and so that was built on just a foam block, and we cut out we called it the swimming pool at the time. We cut out a foam area in the scenery and just dropped it straight in. All right, James, this is the workbench area, and this is where all of the real work happens for things that appear both in the magazine and on MR Video Plus. What I got going on the workbench right here is a cement car project Tichy makes a really nice model of USRA boxcars that were converted for a second life. Basically, they put these roof hatches on, the bottom hatches, and did some work on the interior so they could load them with bulk dry cement. This is before you had air slides or even covered hoppers at that time. It was kind of the first pass at it. In the late 50s, some of these were still rolling around. Well, this is Tichy's model. I haven't quite finished it yet. But all the little individual grabs and everything, all of the plumbing for the brake lines and everything, it's a gorgeous model by the time it's done. Problem is we need these cars both for the Winston-Salem project and MR's new beer line project that they're working on, because they're putting a 1940s era cement plant on it. This took me like 2 weeks to build. So this is a regular AccuRail boxcar that comes pretty much mostly assembled, and then I just grafted on the various hatches and chutes on it to basically replicate the USRA cement car without having to build yet a second Tichy kit from the ground up. So it's kind of a little cheat, but it worked out okay.
Very cool. And just like any workshop in a basement, you guys are busy and active working on projects.
Yeah, I think it would actually, I think you'd be worried if you came in here and this was pristine and clean.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that happens about once a year when we do a cleaning day, and then it all goes right back to what you see very quickly. So,
Yep.
Dana, you got a project you're working on for the new project
yeah.
layout for MR.
For the beer line, and this quickly expanded from a 4-inch long overpass to a 48-inch long overpass, but it will go over one side of the beer line. It'll represent the North Avenue Viaduct. Sort of a multimedia thing. The plywood is going to be the base. I'll cover it with styrene sidewalks and road surface. And then probably the most time-consuming part is I found these really cool resin castings from Crow River Products. They were one of the only sort of old-time looking overpass supports that I could find, but I had to split them and graft them together. So it takes a little bit of time, but once they're done, once this will be painted, I think it'll be pretty convincing for a 1940s highway.
Nice. Sneaking around MR, you can see that they have quite a inventory of different paints so they can work on their projects without having to run to the store quickly. So you see all this inventory of paint in here, every color you can imagine. And this is color coming from a guy that's red-green colorblind, so you can tell that it's very well stocked.
All right, James, you're going to find out that we've got project layouts that just sort of litter the building. They're everywhere. This is really two project railroads that we're looking at in one at the moment. This is the Virginian, which we built for MR several years ago, and this is basically based on a branch line on the Virginian. We didn't model any one in particular, but essentially it comes off the main line, works its way up into the mountains to serve a bunch of different coal-related industries. In being clever with this layout, we also have a leftover piece of the Turtle Creek, another old project railroad from years ago. And it plugs in at the top here, and so our little branch line that wraps up and around the hill and onward then would continue yet to another little town with another mine, which is great, because for a railroad like this, the whole purpose is running hopper cars up and down the hill, empties up, loads out, and really kind of the reason we picked the Virginian as the prototype is you've got all these lovely short little 55-ton hoppers, which are great for small railroads with tight curves and things, because, you know, obviously you can't run auto racks on here. They're going to look out of place. But so we built this, and then a year later, when we launched MR Video Plus, we came back and we built what we call the thin branch, simply because it's not very deep. But it is another branch that comes off the Virginian then and goes to yet another coal tipple. And then we have a 3-track staging yard that plugs right into this piece, obviously, because of where it's located here in the hallway. We can't have that on. It's currently stored under the MRT. But when you put this little railroad together, it really makes a nice operating layout. You can do a heck of a lot with it and keep a bunch of people busy running traits on it all afternoon.
Hey, James.
Hey Neil, how you
Good to
doing?
see you. Welcome to sunny Wisconsin.
Thanks.
We've
Finally
brought out the
sunny.
nice weather for you.
I appreciate that.
Good, good. Well, here we are, Kalmbach. This is our offices over here. This is actually our historic showcase, which I'll show you in a few minutes.
Cool.
And as many people comment, we have a regular office building, yet there are all these model railroad objects in people's offices and artwork on the walls. So it's this weird and pleasant mix of an insurance company, and a model railroad place. All along, Model Railroader magazine had hung on to some different artifacts of its history and the history of model railroading all mixed together. In 2010, when the NMRA convention was here in Milwaukee for their anniversary, we got 2 new showcases, and we really did a nice job of spreading out the items we have here. And it's kind of, we show all our visitors this stuff. And it is indeed the history of Model Railroader magazine, and by default, the history of model railroading products from 1934 all the way to present day. For example, these 2 cars are Al Kalmbach's passenger cars. Obviously, he made these. These weren't, you know, made in a factory, you know, of injected molded styrene. We even have, these are pictures from the very first business meeting for the NMRA, a banquet card.
Oh, wow.
We have some of Lynn Westcott's pieces in here, some other things from Al Kalmbach, a favorite staff member from years past, Gordy Odegaard. He built this interlocking to show it actually works, and we actually turned it on when we did a video with Jim Hediger a couple years ago about it. We also have John Allen, famous model railroader from the 40s all the way into the 1960s and early 1970s, and the late Andy Sperandio, who was editor of Model Railroader in the past. Andy, as a young man, operated on John Allen's model railroad in Northern California. And in time, Allen died, and there was a fire at his house that destroyed most of the railroad. This particular locomotive was not destroyed because something was wrong with it, so it was on Allen's workbench at the time and did not, it wasn't anywhere near the flames.
Oh, cool.
The locomotive went into the hands of one of Allen's operators. I don't recall his name at the moment. In time, when he was near the end of his life, the locomotive came into Andy's possession. And Andy had it displayed in his office here at Kalmbach for as long as I can remember in this case. And when Andy retired from Kalmbach, he thought the locomotive ought to stay here at Model Railroader magazine rather than go to his house. So we have the only, I guess, undamaged locomotive of John Allen's in existence.
Wow. Very
And
cool.
it doesn't run because it was on his workbench.
Yeah.
All right, James. Well, right now these are the MR offices.
Okay.
This is where all the editors sit. This is where we make the magazine.
Yeah.
There's Al Miller, our managing editor.
Yep.
Hard at work
Al,
as usual.
how's it going? Who's this Dana Kawala guy?
I don't know, but his office is kind of a mess.
Oh.
Eric White, newest
Cool.
member of our staff.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's Cody's office that you've seen.
The famous Cody's office.
Associate editor Steve Oddie,
Yep.
also hard at work. Looks like
Steve.
he has a review model that he's working on.
Yep.
Cool. And now, we'll walk down to see MR Video Plus.
Okay.
Just down the hall from us. All right, so here we are at the Model Railroader Video Plus offices. And over here we have Ken Johnson. Hard at work making videos.
One of the brain behind MR Video Plus.
Good to see you,
nice
James.
again. How are you doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
Dana, here we have lots of project layouts and different scales out here parked in the hallway. What all
Yep,
do you
this
have?
is sort of our hall of project layouts, and we can go through them if you'd like. This
Sure.
right here, this is one of the recent layouts that was done by Classic Toy Trains, our brother magazine that deals with O-Gauge, Lionel, all of that good stuff. And then right here, this is my personal favorite project layout that we ever did. We did this for our 75th anniversary, and this is the Milwaukee Road beer line.
Oh, wow.
As you can see, it's set up in a modular configuration. Again, David designed this one as well, which is a really clever design because it can be configured in a few different ways. But the Milwaukee Road beer line, it was an actual branch line of the Milwaukee Road, and it did just what you think it did. It served the breweries in downtown Milwaukee. And you'll notice there's a spot right here This is sort of a sneak preview, but this is our latest project that we're working on for the magazine. We're doing another piece to the beer line, which models what was known as like the snake track and some other areas. It's sort of loosely based on that, but it'll provide some additional industries and things that we can switch when we put the layout back together.
Cool.
James, your observant viewers might notice the spot here is also because of fire code. We're in a building here, and so we can't cover up the fire extinguisher.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
One cool thing too is this building right here. That's actually what Kalmbach Publishing Company looked like in the 30s and 40s. It was in an actual garage, wasn't it, Neil?
We took a little historic liberty on this portion of the beer line, and the original, very first Kalmbach office building was not anywhere near the breweries, but we decided to have a little fun. And the neat thing about it, in our lobby, we have a picture of the company founder, Al Kalmbach, and his only two co-workers, with holding all of that first issue on the way to get on a trolley to go to the post office to mail it. And somebody took a photo of them smiling at the side door of this building. So Cody Grivno and our staff put these HO figures on the side of the model of Kalmbach's building in a pose that is just like the pose of the photograph in our lobby here at Kalmbach.
All right, and this project just appeared in the magazine. This is the Eagle Mountain. It was an actual mining operation in, I think, was it Southern California or Mojave Desert?
Riverside
region?
County, California, I believe. They took it was a Kaiser Steel business where they took ore all the way to in inland California where the steel was.
Cool.
And this is sort of another Mojave Desert scene layout. This was done in 2010. It was done by a former managing editor. This is an N-scale layout, which has a lot of cattle track.
It models the Salt Lake route, Union Pacific, through Nevada and into Utah. And actually, this whole scene, we use the Cotto super elevated double track.
It's funny because you talk about what inspires a project layout. I remember I did a review for that super elevated track, and that sort of got the wheels turning about, hey, can we use this somehow?
And then there is a picture in a book about this particular railroad, color picture over 2 pages, that is this scene. And between the track and the picture in the book, we said, wouldn't it look cool if we had an N-scale layout and this was part of it?
Yeah.
So the whole layout started with this scene, and then we put a backdrop along the middle, and there's a yard and so forth on the other side. But this is the side, it was all about this scene.
Right. And then this is a project layout in its rawest form. This is that part of the beer line that's going to fit in that space. This is the snake track. Do we have is that what we're calling it at this point?
We don't have a
Just
name for it yet. Yeah. And you could see Eric White on our staff has gone and done some cardboard mock-ups. This is going to be a cement plant, concrete plant. We also have a lumber yard here and elevated highway.
Yeah, the big overpass that I showed you in the workshop is going to go right here.
Okay, this is it. This is the Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy. It is, the layout itself is well over 20 years old. It is a model of a bridge line between Rockford, Illinois and Milwaukee. So there are a lot of place names on here that really exist in the general vicinity of where Kalmbach is in Wisconsin. Why I said 20 years old, those of you that have a 20-year-old layout know there's a lot of maintenance involved, and at times there are rebuilding projects and rewiring projects, and we've done a lot of this on this layout. It's a big layout. This room's at least 40 feet in length, I think, Dana, right?
It's about 40 feet, yeah.
40 feet. I think nobody in their right mind would want to do this all by themselves. And again, this has always been a team effort among staff members and some other people that are associated with Kalmbach employees. And it also is a reflection of the skills and desires of the people that have built this layout over the years. The Milwaukee Amtrak station really used to look just like this. only in the last 10 years, the ownership of the station, it's now both a bus station and the Amtrak station. They completely renovated the exterior. It looks nothing like this now, and then that left us saying, well, now what do we do with our model that looks great circa 1995? So for the moment, it just stays put. This was a project at Model Railroader. This is actually the Milwaukee River, and this backdrop is at the real places in Milwaukee. This is a photograph, and we were able to take the photograph and at an angle and a size in a way that it, from a few feet away, it actually looks like it's part of the backdrop, and here's the Milwaukee River. Long ago, a fellow named Art Curran used to do a lot of kid bashing stories in Model Railroader magazine, and this is some of his work. One of the things he always wanted to do was have a little play on words with our Brow and Adley Company, Be Fine Company, and other play on words. I'm fine, be fine. So he did a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's nice that some of his work is preserved for quite a number of years now here on the mr&t.
There's Medusa Cement. I remember seeing that.
Medusa Cement is a kit. This place over here, Continental Grain, is another place that really does exist in Milwaukee, and you can see it down along the riverfront in the industrial area. And now retired managing editor Jim Kelly built that as a project in the magazine, I think in the late 1980s.
This is an Atlas engine that just released, right?
I mean, these two we got in the mail from Atlas a few days ago.
Yeah, they do see decoders. But yeah, these are things that Cody came up with. These are his paint
These are Cody's paint schemes. We had a story in the magazine back when the Norfolk Southern and had their big heritage celebration, and Cody decided that our railroad needed a heritage celebration of its own, so he painted up several different models in obviously fictional heritage schemes for the Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy. At the time, Atlas was working up its project to manufacture these locomotives. They got a hold of us, and here we go. These are Atlas manufactured locomotives for the Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy, and there are 3 different paint schemes for us. These are two, the one with the white nose, the trailing unit, is one of our heritage schemes.
So one thing I noticed on this locomotive number 1175 is a tribute to the late Andy Sperino. That's very cool.
After news went out that Andy had passed away, Atlas contacted us, and I guess it was their idea, and they wanted to know what we thought, to have Andy's name written on the cab, and we thought, sure, that would be great. So we're very proud that happened, and Andy was such a big part of Model Railroader. I mean, he designed this railroad that we're standing in front of, so it's so befitting that his name is on that locomotive.
All right, James, this is kind of an interesting stretch of the layout right here. This whole peninsula was our project for 2011, and for years it was never finished. A lot of it was bare plywood, and we basically took it down to bench work, and we made our version of an interchange town and an interchange yard. So we have our shelf layout on the hall, across the way there, the Wisconsin and Southern. We'll interchange with the Milwaukee, Racine, and Troy, actually right here in this yard. We have a branch that leads down to the quarry, and then the main line will continue around up our big steep 3% grade and across the bridge. But this you also get an idea of how we do a project layout. Like each of these scenes, usually a staff member will pick a structure or structures, and we'll build it, and we'll try to fit them all together. Like I did the fertilizer plant there, Cody did this awesome, the grain elevator, Jim Hediger did the appliance company.
Group effort.
So it's a group effort, so it's kind of fun.
Well guys, that wraps up our visit here to Kalmbach in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Neil and Dana, thank you so much for the visit and the tour.
My pleasure.
It's great to be able to show the viewers around Kalmbach, see what happens behind the scenes of your great magazine. So a lot of people like to think that you play with trains all day, but there is a ton of editing and a ton of work involved, and it's a lot of hard work that produces a great magazine like Model Railroader. So thanks for the visit.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
All right. Well, that wraps up our visit here, guys. So thanks, and we'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.